Moscow, 1943. A dim office, cigarette smoke curling toward cracked ceiling paint. Yuri Modin leans back in his chair, reading intercepted American security reports. A smile plays at his lips, not joy, but professional satisfaction. He passes the papers to his handler. "They think themselves invincible," Modin mutters in Russian. Scientists discussing atomic theory in cafeterias. Documents left on desks overnight. They are children playing at secrets. The handler's response is cold, mechanical. "Then we shall be the adults who take their toys." Across the Atlantic, in the high desert of New Mexico, Robert Oppenheimer stares at equations that could end the world. Los Alamos hums with genius and ambition. The Manhattan Project races toward a weapon of unimaginable power. No one notices the janitor taking notes. No one questions the secretary who stays late photographing documents. The greatest heist in human history is unfolding in plain sight, and America, brilliant, confident, magnificent America, is fast asleep. The stakes? Nothing less than the future of civilization itself. Los Alamos, New Mexico, spring 1943. The desert wind carries dust through gaps in hastily constructed buildings. Los Alamos is a city that appeared overnight, filled with the greatest minds in physics, chemistry, and mathematics. They've been summoned here for one purpose: to build a weapon that harnesses the power of splitting atoms. Dr. Klaus Fuchs adjusts his glasses and enters Tech Area 1, nodding pleasantly to guards who barely glance at his identification badge. A German refugee, a brilliant theoretical physicist, a committed communist, and a Soviet spy. But to the Americans, he's simply one of the team. Security at Los Alamos is a patchwork of contradictions. Brilliant scientists bristle at restrictions. General Leslie Groves, military head of the project, demands absolute secrecy. Yet Oppenheimer hosts parties where physicists discuss critical calculations while drinking whiskey. Classified documents travel between sites in ordinary briefcases. Phone calls go unmonitored. "We're creating the future," one scientist jokes at a dinner party. "Why worry about yesterday's protocols?" The hubris is intoxicating. America is winning the war. American ingenuity is supreme. Security concerns feel like paranoid fantasies, bureaucratic obstacles to genius at work. Lieutenant David Hawkins writes in his daily report, "Scientists frequently leave classified materials unsecured. When confronted, they express irritation at unnecessary interference. Morale considerations prevent strict enforcement." He has no idea how badly those words will age. Meanwhile, in the machine shops and laboratories, the real work proceeds with astonishing speed. Enriched uranium accumulates. Plutonium production ramps up. Theoretical designs become engineering blueprints. The weapon takes shape. Fuchs observes everything. He has a photographic memory and an ideology that transcends nationality. In his mind, science belongs to humanity, not nations. The Soviet Union, he believes, deserves the same knowledge, deserves the ability to defend itself against fascism, against imperialism, against American dominance. He also has something else, a courier system so elegant it seems invisible. At Oak Ridge, Tennessee, another secret city hums with activity. Here, massive facilities separate uranium isotopes. The electromagnetic separation process requires extraordinary amounts of electricity. Tennessee Valley Authority provides it, draining power across 3 states. David Greenglass, a machinist, works in the heart of the operation. He's unremarkable, exactly why he's useful. His brother-in-law, Julius Rosenberg, recruited him quietly, appealing to ideological conviction and family loyalty. "You understand what's at stake," Rosenberg had said during a walk through New York's Lower East Side. "The fascists almost won. Next time, we need balance. We need the Soviet Union strong." Greenglass had nodded, saying nothing, thinking everything. Now he makes careful mental notes of equipment specifications, production schedules, and technical processes. He sketches designs during lunch breaks, memorizes figures, carries secrets in his mind across guarded checkpoints. Security theater surrounds him, fences, badges, patriotic posters warning about loose lips. But the theater has holes. Guards are overworked, procedures are inconsistent, background checks are rushed. America's confidence becomes America's vulnerability. In Washington, FBI counterintelligence focuses on obvious threats: German saboteurs, Japanese agents, domestic fascists. Soviet infiltration barely registers. Stalin is an ally, crude but necessary. The real enemy wears swastikas and flies the rising sun. J. Edgar Hoover receives scattered reports of Soviet intelligence activity, but dismisses most as exaggeration. Resources flow toward more immediate dangers. The possibility that America's greatest secret might already be compromised seems absurd. After all, the Soviets are backward. They barely have indoor plumbing, let alone the sophisticated intelligence apparatus required for atomic espionage. This miscalculation will reshape the world. Back at Los Alamos, Oppenheimer stares at New Mexico stars, smoking his pipe, contemplating equations and ethics. He knows what they're building. He knows what it means. But the alternative, Hitler with atomic weapons, is unthinkable. "We're the good guys," he tells himself. Nearby, Klaus Fuchs makes similar calculations with different conclusions. Both men believe they're serving humanity. Both men will be proven catastrophically wrong about something. Klaus Fuchs fits perfectly. He was recruited before the war, in Britain, by Jürgen Kuczynski, a communist intellectual who recognized Fuchs' potential. When Fuchs joined the British atomic research team and later transferred to Los Alamos, his handlers could barely believe their fortune. The operation requires extraordinary tradecraft. Dead drops in Santa Fe, coded messages in newspaper advertisements, couriers who appeared to be ordinary travelers. Harry Gold, a chemist from Philadelphia, becomes Fuchs' primary American contact. Gold is nervous, sweating, perpetually anxious, everything a spy shouldn't be. But he's also loyal, meticulous, and understands chemistry well enough to verify that information is genuine. Their meetings follow elaborate protocols. Gold travels to Santa Fe on weekends, ostensibly visiting friends. Fuchs takes weekend trips from Los Alamos, citing need for normalcy. They meet in public places, cafes, parks, street corners, looking like casual acquaintances. Fuchs passes documents hidden in magazines or simply recites technical details he's memorized. Gold returns to New York, delivers materials to Soviet handlers, receives new instructions. The cycle repeats, clockwork precision hidden beneath mundane appearances. In Moscow, analysts devour every scrap of information. Soviet scientists, led by Igor Kurchatov, begin parallel research. They understand the fundamental physics, but lack engineering details, production methods, specific design parameters. Fuchs provides those details. He describes gaseous diffusion processes for uranium enrichment. He sketches implosion lens configurations. He explains triggering mechanisms, neutron initiators, tamper designs. He essentially hands Soviet scientists a roadmap through problems that took Americans years to solve. Each transmission is a calculated risk. NKDV handlers sweat despite Moscow cold. If Fuchs is caught, the entire network could unravel. American counterintelligence might not be sophisticated, but they're not stupid. One mistake could trigger catastrophic exposure. Yet the operation continues, successful beyond expectation. Meanwhile, other assets provide supporting intelligence. Theodore Hall, a brilliant young physicist at Los Alamos, is recruited separately. Unlike Fuchs's ideological motivation, Hall acts primarily from belief that nuclear monopoly threatens world peace. He volunteers information without being asked. The NKDV suddenly has redundant sources confirming each other's reports, the gold standard of intelligence work. David Greenglass provides machining details from Oak Ridge. Julius and Ethel Rosenberg coordinate American networks. Soviet consular officials in New York and San Francisco serve as communication hubs. The network is vast, interconnected, resilient. American intelligence sees fragments, suspicious communications, unexplained meetings, but fails to connect patterns. The pieces are there, scattered across FBI files and Army counterintelligence reports, waiting for someone to assemble them. That assembly won't happen until it's far too late. Back in Moscow, Sudoplatov reports to Lavrenti Beria, head of the NKDV and Stalin's most feared lieutenant. Beria understands power better than ideology. He sees atomic weapons as the ultimate instrument of Soviet security. He asks, "How confident are we?" The sources are consistent. The physics checks. Our scientists confirm feasibility. We're years ahead of where we'd be working independently. Beria nods slowly. Then we proceed. Failure is not survivable for the operation or for you. The threat hangs in air thick with possibility and terror. Every operative in the network understands. Success means glory. Failure means obliteration. They proceed anyway, because that's what professionals do. Santa Fe, New Mexico, June 1945. Harry Gold steps off the bus, gripping a battered brown briefcase. His shirt sticks to his back despite the dry heat. He's traveled from Philadelphia through elaborate surveillance detection routes, trains, buses, unnecessary detours designed to expose any tail. He's alone, always alone. Today, he has 2 meetings scheduled. First, Klaus Fuchs. Second, David Greenglass. Both meetings carried documents that could change history. Both meetings could end with arrest, interrogation, execution. Gold walks to the Castillo Street Bridge at precisely 4 p.m. He carries a pair of gloves, the recognition signal, absurdly theatrical but effective. Fuchs approaches from the opposite direction, holding a green-covered book. They don't shake hands. "Beautiful afternoon," Gold says, the coded phrase sounding ridiculous in his nervous tenor. "Yes, though I prefer autumn," Fuchs responds, completing the authentication. They walk together briefly, 2 men discussing nothing in particular. Fuchs transfers a thick envelope disguised as folded newspapers. Inside are detailed drawings of the plutonium implosion device, Fat Man, the bomb that will destroy Nagasaki. The transfer takes seconds. Years of research, billions of dollars, America's most precious secret, passed like a grocery list. They separate without further conversation. Gold's hands shake as he places the envelope in his briefcase. He forces himself to walk normally, breathing deeply, fighting adrenaline. 1 block. 2 blocks. 3. No shouts, no running footsteps, no police whistles. He's clean. But the day isn't finished. Gold takes a taxi to High Street, where David Greenglass lives with his wife Ruth. He knocks on their modest apartment door using the agreed-upon pattern: 2 quick, 1 delayed, 2 quick. Ruth opens the door, her eyes wide with fear and excitement. David's been waiting. Inside, Greenglass has prepared detailed sketches of high-explosive lens molds used in implosion triggers. His draftsmanship is excellent. Precise measurements, cross-sections, material specifications. He's also written explanatory notes about production challenges and solutions. "This is everything?" Gold asks. "Everything I could safely document," Greenglass replies. "They're changing guard rotations next week. Might be harder to get materials out after that." Gold nods, adding the sketches to his briefcase. The weight feels impossible. Not physical mass, but psychological burden. He's carrying enough information to accelerate Soviet atomic development by years. "Be careful," Ruth whispers as Gold leaves. He wants to laugh. Careful? He's walking through a city crawling with military police and FBI agents, carrying atomic secrets in a briefcase. Careful is no longer an option. Only luck remains. The return journey is agony. Every police officer seems to stare. Every fellow passenger appears suspicious. Gold imagines hands grabbing his shoulders, voices demanding identification, the briefcase opened to reveal betrayal. None of that happens. He reaches Albuquerque, boards a train east, and begins the long journey back to New York. The landscape passes: desert, plains, mountains, cities, while Gold sits rigid, clutching his briefcase, pretending to read a newspaper. In Los Alamos, Fuchs returns to his calculations, discussing plutonium metallurgy with colleagues over dinner. No one suspects. He's respected, liked even, considered slightly awkward, but brilliant. The mask is perfect. Elsewhere in the network, others play their parts. Soviet consular officials receive coded messages confirming successful transfers. Diplomatic pouches carry microfilm to Moscow. Cables transmit summaries using one-time pads, unbreakable encryption. The NKVD Residentura in New York coordinates operations from a brownstone in Lower Manhattan. Anatoly Yatskov, the primary handler, reviews reports with satisfaction. The network is functioning flawlessly. But he knows perfection is temporary. Security tightens as the project nears completion. Compartmentalization increases. Background checks intensify. Counterintelligence scrutiny grows. The window is closing. "We need everything now," Yatskov tells his subordinates. "Push the assets, maximum productivity. After the first test, security will become impossible to penetrate." Orders flow through the network. Fuchs increases his reporting frequency. Greenglass takes greater risks documenting equipment. Hall passes information through his courier with reckless urgency. American security officers notice anomalies. Minor things: documents temporarily misplaced, personnel found in unauthorized areas, unexplained weekend absences. Each incident receives routine investigation and plausible explanation. The pattern remains invisible. Lieutenant Colonel John Lansdale, Chief of Security for the Manhattan Project, reviews reports with growing unease. Something feels wrong. He can't articulate it precisely, but instinct, honed through years of counterintelligence work, raises alarms. "Increase surveillance on foreign nationals," he orders. Cross-reference travel records with security incidents. I want personality profiles on every scientist with communist sympathies. His subordinates comply, generating mountains of paperwork. But the investigation moves at bureaucratic speed, while the espionage operates at crisis tempo. It's a race Lansdale doesn't know he's losing. On July 16, 1945, the Trinity test illuminates the New Mexico desert. The first atomic weapon detonates successfully, creating a fireball visible from hundreds of miles away. Oppenheimer watches in awe and horror, recalling Bhagavad Gita. Now I am become death, destroyer of worlds. Fuchs watches too, mentally cataloging every detail for his next report. Within weeks, Hiroshima and Nagasaki burn. Japan surrenders. World War II ends. The atomic age begins. And in Moscow, Soviet scientists accelerate their program armed with secrets stolen from America's greatest achievement. Moscow, USSR, August 1945. Igor Kurchatov spreads documents across his desk, his wild beard quivering with excitement. Before him lies the complete design for an implosion-type plutonium weapon, Fat Man, dismantled and explained in extraordinary detail. It's all here, he tells Beria. Lens configurations, detonator timing, pit composition, initiator design, everything. Beria's expression remains cold. How much time does this save? Years, perhaps 5 years. We were working through problems they've already solved. This, Kurchatov gestures at the documents, is a roadmap through the maze. Stalin himself reviews the intelligence, though he understands little of the physics. What he grasps perfectly is power. America used atomic weapons to end the war. America now holds an unassailable strategic advantage, unless the Soviet Union catches up. Proceed, Stalin orders. Cost is irrelevant. Speed is everything. The Soviet atomic program, already underway, transforms into a national obsession. Resources flood toward research facilities. Labor camps provide workers for uranium mines and production facilities. Scientists work around the clock, driven by opportunity and terror. Kurchatov's team doesn't merely study the stolen information, they replicate it. The first Soviet atomic bomb, tested in 1949, will be nearly identical to Fat Man. American engineers will recognize their own design in radiochemical analysis of fallout. It's the ultimate compliment and the ultimate humiliation. Washington, D.C., September 1949. President Truman receives the briefing with disbelief. You're certain? Yes, Mr. President. Radiological analysis confirms a nuclear detonation in Soviet Central Asia, their first atomic test years ahead of projections. Truman's hand trembles slightly as he lights a cigarette. The American nuclear monopoly, 4 years that shaped post-war planning, emboldened American diplomacy, justified reducing conventional forces, has vanished. How did they advance so quickly? The intelligence officials exchange glances. We're investigating multiple possibilities. Independent development seems unlikely given the timeline. There may have been espionage, Truman finishes, his voice flat. They stole it from us. The admission hangs in the air, heavy with implications. FBI investigations intensify. Security agencies review Manhattan Project personnel files, searching for anomalies. They find them everywhere. Foreign nationals, communist sympathizers, security lapses, unexplained contacts. The patterns finally become visible. The price of hubris. Los Alamos today is a museum, an active research facility. Tourists photograph historic buildings where the atomic bomb was born. Physicists continue weapons research, now surrounded by security measures that would have seemed paranoid in 1945. The casual atmosphere that enabled Soviet espionage is gone, replaced by compartmentalization, background checks, counterintelligence operations, and institutional paranoia. The cost of learning this lesson? Acceleration of the nuclear arms race, thousands of weapons on hair-trigger alert, generations living with existential fear, and countless billions spent on arsenals that can never be used without ending civilization. American confidence in its exceptionalism suffered a wound that never fully healed. The belief that American ingenuity naturally triumphs, that American openness is pure strength without vulnerability, that security is less important than freedom, all confronted hard reality. The Soviet Union learned different lessons. Their espionage success confirmed the value of patient, systematic intelligence operations. It validated totalitarian control as strategically superior to democratic openness. It proved that ideology could motivate betrayal even among privileged Western intellectuals. Both conclusions were partially correct and dangerously incomplete. The human factor. The spies themselves remain enigmatic. Were they traitors or idealists, heroes or villains? The answer depends on perspective and timing. Klaus Fuchs believed he prevented American hegemony and nuclear blackmail. He saw himself as serving humanity, not betraying a nation. Whether his analysis was correct is unknowable. We cannot run the counterfactual experiment where the Soviet Union doesn't obtain atomic weapons in 1949. Maybe American nuclear monopoly would have been benevolent. Maybe it would have enabled imperial adventures without check. Maybe the Cold War would have been shorter and less dangerous. Maybe it would have ended in nuclear war when the Soviet Union finally caught up and faced a desperate window of vulnerability. History doesn't offer clean answers, only complex consequences. Julius Rosenberg died believing he fought fascism and imperialism. Ethel Rosenberg died for loving her husband and keeping his secrets. David Greenglass lived with the knowledge that his testimony sent his sister to execution. None of them imagined the world they helped create, one where school children practice hiding under desks from atomic bombs, where leaders hold launch codes for civilization-ending weapons, where humanity possesses the means of its own extinction. Modern echoes. The atomic espionage story resonates today because the tensions remain unresolved. How does a democracy balance security and freedom? How can open societies protect secrets while maintaining transparency? When does idealism become treason? Modern espionage has evolved. Cyber infiltration replaces dead drops. Data theft happens remotely, and the targets include technology companies, not just weapons programs. But the fundamental dynamic persists. Motivated insiders can compromise any security system, and hubris invites catastrophic failure. China's theft of American weapons technology, Russian intelligence penetration of political systems, corporate espionage transferring trillions in intellectual property all echo the patterns established during the atomic spy era. The lesson still unlearned. Vigilance isn't paranoia, security isn't tyranny, and confidence without humility invites disaster. Final questions. Standing in the ruins of history, we face questions without comfortable answers. Would the world be safer if atomic secrets had remained American monopoly? Or did Soviet capabilities prevent nuclear war through mutual deterrence? Were the spies monsters or martyrs? Traitors acting from greed and ideology, or conscience-driven individuals preventing worse outcomes? Could better security have prevented the espionage? Or was Soviet infiltration inevitable given the scale of the Manhattan Project and the ideological ferment of the 1940s? What secrets are being stolen today? What future generations will judge our complacency? These questions haunt us because they lack definitive answers. History offers complexity, not clarity. The atomic spies succeeded beyond imagination, and the consequences of their success, both catastrophic and stabilizing, continue rippling through time. The Americans called themselves amateurs compared to Soviet professionalism. They were wrong about many things, but on this point, the Soviets agreed completely. It was the most expensive amateur hour in human history. And we're still paying the price.